Action.
We did the aqueduct for LADWP. I'm Cody.
Christian.
Kylie.
So as an overview of what we're going to go over, just kind of the background and history of the aqueduct, and then like water usage in LA, William Mulholland, and then finding a new water source, and then how they built the aqueduct, and then water rights, and then some fun facts.
So just background on Owens Valley. As stated previously, the first inhabitants were the Paiute, and they were there for thousands of years, and they were the first to modify the river. The first American settlers came in 1861. Before that, they believe like Spaniards and hunters came through the valley, but they never stayed there. And after that, the valley was intended to be a stopover during cattlemen's 300-mile journey from the San Joaquin Valley. But once they got there, they realized that vast open space would be great for raising livestock, cattle and sheep, and agriculture. The agriculture industry wasn't that big in the valley because it's in the rain shadow of the Sierra Nevadas. But basically, after LADWP bought all the land, the agriculture industry went down. There's still some, but it wasn't like how it used to be. And they mostly grow, I think, which is hay or something, because it uses less pesticides, so it doesn't contaminate the water. And as we saw over the weekend, there's not that much development, basically because LA owns everything. And LA used to get its water from the LA River, but since the population began to grow in the early 20th century, they had to find a new water source, which was the Owens Valley. After the two aqueducts were completed or created, LA got approximately 430 million gallons of water a day from the Owens Valley and Monterey Lake. The main source currently for LA water is Owens Valley, Northern California, Colorado River, and groundwater. But due to climate change and decreased snowpack in the Sierra Nevadas, they're kind of having some problems with getting a lot of water from the LA aqueduct. And on top of that, the population is growing, so the demand for water is rising too. And this chart basically just shows like where LA gets its water from during the dry years. And you can see that the majority of it comes from the Metropolitan Water District, which is from like the Colorado River or Northern California, when the snowpack is low. So you see it's like 20% for the LA aqueduct in 2015, 2016, it was only 11%. And these kind of variation in temperatures are going to happen, well, they're going to be more rare. Like we're going to be in droughts, so they're going to have to get water from the Metropolitan Water District, and then during these big storms, they're going to pull out a lot more water from the LA aqueduct.
So William Mulholland, he's credited for a lot of the construction and design of the aqueduct. Some background information on him: he was an Irish immigrant, came to the States, self-trained engineer, but he had begun his career as a ditch cleaner for the LA City Water Company. At the age of 31, he was risen up to a superintendent, and later on, when LADWP came into, they bought out the LA Water Company, and he became the head of that. So, as we all know, LA needed to find a water source, and in order to be a metropolitan area, they needed a constant and sustainable supply of water. There was a drought in the 20th century that kind of led to that. And in 1904, the Board of Water Commissioners authorized Mulholland and other engineers to go out and find new possible water sources for LA. And it was Mulholland himself that identified Owens Valley as a possible solution towards their water needs.
So for the building of the aqueduct, it was built in 1913, and it was a big deal to like construct it. Like roads were cleared, they built concrete plants and powered telegraph and telegram lines were installed. 43 people died who were working on it. The workers experienced low wages, extreme temperatures, food shortages, and highly packed tents. And then pay rates varied based on ethnicity. So the ones who were paid really low had the worst, living and stuff. And then but then the crew who worked at Elizabeth Tunnel actually completed their task 20 months ahead of schedule. So there were like some successes. So the duration was 5 years long. It cost $23 million in 1913, and by 2017, 560.
That's what the amount is like worth now.
Yeah,
Okay.
total.
Okay, so 142 tunnels with a total height of 43 miles were blasted and drilled. 1 million barrels of cement were needed to create the aqueduct, and 6 million pounds of dynamite were used.
Cool. So LA County filed for water rights in 1905 on the Owens River. To protect the rights, they purchased land and a couple of water rights in the Owens Valley. So converting land around for less water intensive uses. In 1924, ranchers and businessmen fear for the future and the future of Owens Valley. So they waged a war called Water Wars. So they dynamited the aqueduct 17 times to stop the water flow going to LA County. And yeah, that's a picture I think right here. I think that's Roosevelt using dynamites.
And I think, is that Alabama Gates?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we went.
That's where we were at, yeah.
That's why I wanted to go there, because of this.
So I think Alabama Gates got dynamited, I think, several times. Yeah, more than once there. The aqueduct provides 29% of LA's water supply, but I think it's actually 20%, not 29%. Yeah, it's not as much as 29%. So due to the aqueduct in 1913, LA had 107 square miles. After it was complete, 7 years later, it expanded to 364 square miles with a population of nearly 800,000. Today, LA covers 465 square miles with a population of nearly 4 million. So it depleted the water supply for Owens Valley River. The river was 62 miles long. Yeah, there's some of the infrastructure. We passed by one of these right here.
That's so long.
Not sure what those are, but generic pictures.
Maybe coming up right outside.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that the, sorry. That's like the roaring water that we saw when we were driving by, right? Okay.
We were that little car on the freeway?
Yep.
Or that bus? You were the
Really-
little car that was, we were the
Yeah.
actual picture.
I have a question. Would it be possible to just, oh, it sounds like bad, but like create a dam around Owens Lake so that would fill up but still provide water?
Storage?
Yeah, down below? Or just trying to think how we can make Owens Lake better but also provide water.
Interesting question.
We might get the opposite effect. We might create flooding.
Flooding.
Well, I mean, you'd have these
Ecosystem.
controls, right, for how much flow
But
gets
the issue is you pull before the water gets to Owens Lake.
They're
You'd have to
diverting it
switch your
around.
source.
No. Creating like a dam at the southern end of Owens Lake.
Just so any water that rains or.
Yeah, so like, because the problems that they have are because the lake is dry, right? So if you filled the lake and then created a way to control the water flow, then you could give water. Oh, but the lake is dry because all the water is going south.
Yeah.
But they're wasting all the
The
water.
source is getting pulled
Yeah, maybe,
before.
Aren't they wasting a bunch of the water? Isn't that one of the main things?
At times they're wasting a lot of water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just- Throwing that crazy idea.
Brainstorming.
LA people.
Marcus,
On the spillway, there's that two separate aqueducts, like the two on the right?
yeah.
Okay. They don't converge.
Did you guys come across information about Mulholland wanting to get water from Ventura County?
What's that?
So that was the plan, and they had provided water storage at San Francisco Dam, which is what, on the Santa Clara River, which is what broke and washed out Fillmore and Piru. So that you'll see that in the film.
That was before they built the aqueduct?
No, that was 32 or sometime around there. But they needed more water. They didn't get that second pipeline until much later.
Yeah.
So they're looking for sources, and we were a source.
Wow.
And there was enormous resistance here as well.
Right.
When you guys were researching the aqueduct, did you find any like cons about it? I mean, obviously there's so many cons about like evaporation and how much water is lost and through the mechanism of moving
No,
water
but
so
we asked
far.
those questions when we were on the trip and the guy
I
was
did,
like-
yeah. He's like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
like, dude,
right.
I work
Yeah,
here.
that's
Like,
So, not really, but I'm sure there's a lot of evaporation,
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the.
I'll Google it right now.
Yeah.
Cool, thank
Other
you.
questions?
Well,
Thanks, guys.